Today on the channel we're going to change out some hardware on this Fender Telecaster. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at this Fender Player Series Telecaster. A friend of my son's brought this over today and wanted me to restring it, set it up, and change out the pickguard, the bridge, and some of the hardware. Okay, so we're going to replace all this stuff here real quick, and then I'm going to set the intonation on these saddles, restring it, and get it playing real nice. So we're going to begin. First thing we're going to do is take these strings off. Okay, so first of all, let me clear out some of this stuff out of the way. And what I do is I'm going to loosen these strings up just a little bit so they don't pop like crazy when I cut them. But I'm just going to go ahead and get these babies cut off of here and unwind these from the tuners. These tuners, whoops, dropping stuff already. These tuners are locking tuners, so I'm undoing the back of them and gonna get these strings ready to get out of here. So they're gonna pop right out. One nice thing about locking tuners, they're so easy to string up and get strings out of the tuning pegs. So that's cool. All right, and then we'll get these strings out of the bridge. Okay, cool, easy enough. Cool, cool, cool. This fretboard is a little grubby and the frets are kind of nasty, so what I'm going to do is put some lemon oil on here. All right, get it nice and moist. As I'm doing this, I've got a kitten walking around the floor. I recently rescued a kitten that was in my shed, and here he is. Take a look at this little guy. He's growing like a weed. He was probably only about 5 or 6 weeks when I rescued him. So I've been feeding him some kitten formula. Tried to bottle feed him and then syringe feed him, but he wouldn't do it. So I wound up just putting it in a saucer, and he eats it drinks it from a saucer. We've got him some kitten food. He's really cute. His name's Snidely. So he just got up from his nap. So when I'm done doing this, I'll probably have to give him some food. Take a little break from filming here shortly and feed him. So I'm going to take some steel wool, some quadruple zero steel wool, and just get the funk off of these frets. They aren't super dirty, but I'm going to take care of this. I'm just going to do a quick once over on these frets to get them a little cleaner. They are not terrible, so I figure since I'm getting this thing restrung, this is usually what I do with my own guitars, even if they don't need it. Just makes the frets and the neck feel so much better. Okay, I'm getting up here to the higher access frets, so get my smaller fret polishing guard here. All right, looks significantly better, much better than it was anyway. Very, very cool. All right, looks nice. Looks really nice. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, gotta take this pickup out of the pick guard. I'm gonna undo this, get this pickup unscrewed all the way. I prefer to do this before I take the pick guard off. You could take the pick guard off and then take the pickup out, but I kind of like to do it this way. Got a thunderstorm brewing outside. Some heavy storms coming through here in Tennessee. It's been so humid. I wish it would bring some cooler weather. It's been unbearable. Seems like the rain cools it off for a brief moment, but then afterwards it magnifies the humidity. That's just how it goes, right? I could use an electronic screwdriver for this, but there's only a few screws on here, and I don't know, sometimes I feel like this is just easier. It's less hassle sometimes. Sometimes when you get a Telecaster and you're replacing the bridges on them, this tailpiece here, this ashtray piece, and you buy a regular bridge, Telecaster bridge, sometimes they don't fit. I know you can't swap out Squire and USA and Mexican stuff. They're all, sometimes the screw holes and stuff are different, and it can drive you crazy, especially if you're going Squire, from a Squire to a Mexican or a Squire to a USA. Fender makes it, whoops, I missed a screw. No, I didn't. Fender makes it really difficult to do. So, all right, this thing does not want to come off of there. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the camera real quick and pry this thing off of there for a moment. Okay, so what I did is I just took a little piece of metal, my fret cleaner tool. All right, so there's the pick guard. Here is the pickup. Pretty nice looking pickup. Cool. Let me grab this new pick guard. This new pick guard is brand spanking new stuff. So let's see if the holes and everything line up. Yeah, it looks like it's going to line up just fine. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the pickup screws, put it in here, and put this pickup in here. First thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to take off this plastic shield that's on here, this protective shield. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to screw this pickup back in here, and then we'll screw this thing back on the guitar. All right, cool. All right, I've got the pickup installed, screwed in rather, and these things are easy just to pop in, and these screws lined up just perfectly. Off camera, I cleaned up the body just a little bit where the pick guard was on the body, so I got all the, a lot of the crud and stuff off the edges. That's always a good time to clean your guitar, when you take pick guards and stuff off of it, because you actually have the opportunity to get to where you can't get guitar cleaner and a rag. So you might as well do some house cleaning while you're at it. So this was cool. This pick guard lines up just perfectly. It's always nice to get authorized actual Fender parts in the event that, you buy something aftermarket and the holes just don't line up. That always kind of sucks. So usually not the case, but it can be. So we're getting there. All right, I'm going to finish up getting this screwed in, and then we'll begin to removing this plate and the bridge. Hopefully these pots that are in here fit through the plate that's in this kit. Sometimes the holes are too small. If you've got for instance, if you have a Squire, or I should say, sometimes, yeah, if you got a Squire and you buy a Fender parts for a Squire, or vice versa, the holes just don't line up. A lot of times the Squire holes are actually smaller, the pot size. All right, very cool, very cool. So let's check this out. Let's get this part out of the bag. We've got some strap buttons in this bag too. So there's, I'm gonna put some new strap buttons on it. Okay. You know what, there's new pickguard screws in here. I didn't notice that. I'm gonna replace these screws with a shiny new pickguard screw so it looks better. I'll do that in just a moment. All right, first things first. We'll get these out. Normally I put these screws in a little magnetic bowl, but I'm not going to lose them up here tonight. I've got everything right there, real nice and easy to keep track of. This switch tip does not want to come off. They're always so difficult. All right, and that is looks like a flathead screwdriver. It's going to have to take those off. All right, so I'm going to need to get my flathead screwdriver and pry this baby off here with a little bit of force. Be right back. Okay, a little bit of brute force. We got the switch tip off of it. I had to screw this screw back in so I could pull up on it forcefully. Now I got to take the screws out of the three-way switch. I think that kitten's getting into my stuff. I can hear it pushing things over. If any of you had a kitten in the house, you kind of know what that's like. The terror has begun. He was really chill for a couple weeks. Now I'm about to enter that phase where he's just going crazy. Cool, cool. All right, so let's get these nuts off of these pots and lift this up. All right, the moment of truth. Will these pots fit? Please fit. Yeah, they will fit just fine. All right, cool, cool, cool. Awesome sauce. I don't know if you can hear it, but the thunder is rolling outside. Not bad, but it's distant. Okay. And now, get these back in here for the three. Sorry if I'm in the camera view, or the way of the camera with my forearm. Just putting these back, everything back in place. Okay. Three-way switch screws. Get those nice and tight. All right, and then get these nuts tightened back up real good. Cool beans. All right. Push that back on there. And then we'll use the brand new screws. It doesn't look bad actually with the old looking vintage screws, because the thing looks beat up, so sometimes it's cool to have kind of beat up looking screws, because if you got a beat up looking guitar and all the hardware is brand new, it doesn't really go with the vibe. So I actually think I'm gonna, I don't know, I'll replace all those. What the heck, that's not a big deal. If I had some chrome knobs, I'd put chrome knobs on it, but I do not have chrome knobs for my friend. Otherwise I would gladly give him a set. All right, those are back on just fine. All right, nice. Okay, now we're gonna take this bridge off of there. The first thing I'm gonna do is get this pickup lowered down. So when I take this bridge off of here, this pickup will fall right out. So I'm not pulling on the wires when it comes out of there. It takes a little bit of time to get these out, and they have a trapezoid type shape on the bottom of these, so you got to do a little bit on one, then a little bit on the other one. It's kind of like doing lug nuts on a wheel of a car when you tighten it up. You can't just go full on with one of them. You sort of got to go a little bit on one, a little bit on the next one. These probably have the little rubber stopper washers on the other side, is what I'm thinking. That's what it feels like. Yeah, I can tell pulling them off. I can feel it when it pulls out of there. All right, now this has 4 mounting screws in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are long screws because they have to really hold this bridge into place. I can take these all out one at a time. I hope this bridge that is about to go in here lines up perfectly. So I'm going to take this off and line it up, and we'll see. I was holding it above it before the video started, and it looked like everything was going to line up, but the truth will be told here shortly. All right, old bridge out. Okay, there's the ground. Here are the little rubber thingies that go underneath. Right, the bottom of that pickup looks all right. So, new bridge. Where are you? Where did I put the new bridge? Where is it? Don't you hate it when you set something down and you can't figure out where you put it? Okay, here it is. Okay, let me see here. All right, it looks like it's going to line up. Looks like it's going to line up just fine. Cool. Once I get this on, get the pickup installed, remounted back in here, and get this screwed on, then we'll have to set the intonation on these saddles since they're all straight. We got to kind of stair step them, so that'll be probably the trickiest part of the process. So I'm going to get this pickup put back in here and get this. I'm going to have to turn these sideways. That's kind of what's the tricky part about this, is to get to these 4 mounting holes. To get to them, you sort of have to turn that's what I do anyway. You've got to turn these things sideways so you can see the screw holes, and then you can actually get it screwed in and then flip them back around. Looks good. All right, I'm going to get this pickup put back in here and get these four screws bolted back in here, or screwed back in, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've got the pickup mounted back in there. One thing I discovered was the ground wire was detached from the inside of the body. The ground wire was I don't know how, but the ground wire was unscrewed from the body. The inside of this guitar is painted with some shielding paint for grounding, and the ground wire was completely loose, and the washer was loose on the inside, so the screw had been removed. So there was no active ground unless that ground was just connecting somehow. But this guitar probably had some form of ground issue prior to it coming in here, but I was able to notice that, and I alleviated and fixed that issue just by taking a look underneath this bridge. So ground issue fixed unintentionally. Okay, cool. So we've got these babies mounted, got the bridge mounted. This is always fun, trying to get these things flipped over. Got to be careful. You don't want to scratch the chrome. You don't want to mess up anything. Got to use a little bit of finesse, which is not my strong suit. Now, typically, when something is intonated, this saddle will be closer this way. This one will be a little higher, and that'll be the highest. So it'll be stair-stepped. And then this will be very similar on these three. So what I'm going to do right now, just to kind of get ahead of the game, is I'm going to kind of guesstimate. I've seen them so many times. I'm going to try to get them in the closest area possible for what it normally looks like. All right, so I'm going to stair step them just for fun. I kind of like to do this just because I like to play like little intonation games with myself. I like to see how, I don't know, it's like I just want to see how close I get it just by guessing. But I'm gonna just get these stair stepped a little bit. Gonna be probably way off. And then when you adjust your intonation, the distance between the saddle and the nut determines whether or not your guitar is intonated properly. It may be in tune at the nut, but it won't be in tune when you fret bar chords and stuff. So anyway, I kind of got this set close by eye, but I'm going to put some strings on it and then tune it up, then we'll intonate it. So hopefully everything works appropriately. I haven't checked the electronics, but we didn't mess with any of the wiring, but hopefully all that works good. I'll test it before I string it up. I'll tap on it just to make sure. So I'm going to put some strings on it, and then we'll intonate it. Okay, I've got it strung up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lower these saddles down a lot. I'm just going to eyeball it for now. These things are sky high. Like super, super high, man. And that'll make your action just crazy unplayable. What I'm trying to do is just get these quite low. They don't have to be like flat to the surface of the guitar. Usually it'll make your frets buzz if they're that low, but they got to be pretty darn close. I mean, you want them as close as possible without buzzing. And then you want to put a small amount of arch or arc, however you want to say it, so it rounds over like the fretboard, since most fretboard radiuses have that rounded thing going on. We are close. Man, these things were way messed up. But that's just it. They just put these things on in the factory. I mean, they can't possibly get it set close to what you need it, because every guitar setup is different. So they just slam these parts together and ship it off, and it's up to you to set it up. Best thing to do is just try your best and trial and error. Alright, so I'm looking at it, and I'll give you a view of this here in a sec when I'm done. We'll see how accurate I get it when I tighten these strings up. I could be way off. I won't be way off, but it's not going to be perfect, that's for sure. Okay. As I'm doing it, I'm just making slight adjustments to it. Okay. It looks all right. Okay, so not sure if this is going to be that visible on camera, but what I've got here, got that going on. You can see the way those saddles look. Okay, that's a lot better than it was, that's for sure. Okay, I'm going to tune this thing up and we're going to check the intonation. Okay, I've got it set up now where the saddles are a lot lower. I strung the guitar up and I've got the saddles about like this. The action was really super high and I adjusted the truss rod. I tightened it just about a quarter of a turn. Here's the truss rod adjustment. So you would turn it to the right, which is turning it this way. And that tightened up the neck just a little bit, put a little bit more of a back bow on it. So the strings came down just a little bit. It had a little bit too much relief. And I lowered these down so the action's really nice. And now when I check tuning on it, when you do intonation, what you want to do, normally I'd use a nice tuner for this, but this narc is all I've got available tonight. That'll work just fine. So what you want to do is you want to hit a harmonic on the 12th fret, and when you hit a harmonic on the 12th fret of the note, it should be, you know, right on pitch. Okay, so let's check the intonation. If you hit the harmonic and it's sharp, the pitch is sharp on the tuner, what you'll want to do is you'll want to screw this screw on the back of the saddle outward or inward. You want to pull the saddle away from the nut if it's sharp. Think of it this way. It's like it's sharp, so it wants to get away. Ow, it's sharp. Get me away from the nut. So if it's sharp, by moving the saddle back this way, it'll bring the string flat a little bit. Doesn't take but a little bit of an adjustment to change intonation, so it's kind of a precise job. Takes a little bit of patience, and you want to just get in the ballpark. I mean, some people really fret over it, no pun intended, but you know, you want it to be right. But guitars are imperfect instruments, so as long as, you know, it's like hand grenades, as long as you're close, it'll count. So let's check it. Okay, so I'm going to try to intonate this on camera. I don't know if the camera's going to pick up this tuner while I'm doing this, but I'm going to show you. I may just do one or two strings just because this gets kind of boring. It's a little tedious, but as you can see, that's on E, it's straight up. So I'm going to hit the harmonic. Okay, so that's good. That one's on. All right, so then the A, and the A is on. So I was really accurate. This is really close. Okay, so let's go to the D string. The D is in tune, and the D is on. That's good. Let's go to the G. This G is a little flat. Okay, so let's go to the G. The G looks good too. Wow, we're really we're right on the money. So the B, the B is good. This E seems good too. Overall, the intonation's really close. So I really don't have to intonate this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a chord up here, like here on this A. That G, there's a C, the E, E major 7, So these chords are in tune, you can hear it. So intonation is not a concern. The action's great. I would say this job is done. This was a pretty easy project, other than it's a little time consuming and you got to be patient. And I'm familiar with where these should be. I've done so many of them that this was like pretty spot on just by looking at it. And as I checked intonation with the tuner, it was accurate. The chords sound good when I play them in tune. In the upper register, we're fine. Everything lined up. All the hardware looks good. I've got the pickup heights just right. And I replaced the screws with the newer screws, and off camera I replaced the strap buttons. The only thing that he's going to need to get is a black tip for this possibly, and some chrome knobs. So if I had those here, I'd just give them to him, but I don't have any. But anyway, hope you like this kind of content. If you do, please consider subscribing. And as always, have a great day. Peace out.